Today on Sunyshore Station, we have a video game draft battle. Let's get into it. It's always sunny at Sunyshore Station. How's it going, everyone? Fus Force back again with another episode of Sunyshore Station. Guys, today, again, I'm joined by a delightful co-host, the primo percussionist this side of the Poconos, Tylerthegrey.
What's up?
It's been a while since I've said that, huh?
Oh my gosh, that just like brought it back.
He's getting early stream flashbacks, guys.
Yeah, wow.
Today, from our title, you guys can tell, though, we're doing a video game draft battle. And if you've never seen one of these before, this is a very popular format on TikTok. Tyler and I have picked 5 video games each, and we're going to pit them up against each other. And you guys are going to pick like red pill, blue pill kind of situations. So if you can only play this game, these games, or these games, which one would you choose? So a little bit of community interaction and a little bit of a fun competition for us to see how many people would choose our lists. So we're going to go based off of our gut initial reaction to playing these games and some nostalgia and whatever, and some like good things for modern games and some classic games. It's going to be great.
Oh, yeah.
Are you excited for this, Tyler?
Oh, yeah.
Spoiler warning, obviously, because we're going to be probably talking about major plot points from some very popular video games, including games that are very recent, and some games that are not so recent. So if you do not want spoilers, probably don't watch this podcast if we mention a game you haven't played yet. So anything else you want to add before we get started, Tyler?
Oh, I'm ready to dive in and eat this game sandwich.
Let's do it. A game sandwich. That sounds really good. That sounds really good. Huh. Speaking of really good, let's talk about my first draft pick. So for the first draft pick, I choose Kingdom Hearts 2. And I know we're starting strong. Kingdom Hearts 2. If you have not played Kingdom Hearts or any of the Kingdom Hearts series at all, Kingdom Hearts 2 is like the definitive game of the series. Kingdom Hearts 1 was really good and established like a good precedent, and a lot of games like Birth by Sleep, Dream Drop Distance, 358 Over 2 Days, a lot of these games are really good, but Kingdom Hearts 2 is, even compared to 3, is still one of the games that people like absolutely adore. There's some really incredible moments in there. Like I said, from spoilers before, you get to go to Pirates of the Caribbean for the first time, and I just remember that level being the coolest thing in the world. I absolutely love that they built off of the first Kingdom Hearts and they kept the series going. As a latecomer to the series, Kingdom Hearts definitely was a huge impact for me. And man, Kingdom Hearts 2 had some crazy moments in it, like the fight against Sephiroth, and oh my gosh, there's so many cool moments. Mickey making his triumphant return, and having the cloak of shadows or whatever they call it, like him throwing that off, and that scene with Goofy like sacrificing himself and whatnot. He doesn't die, but you think he's going to. That game has so many feels, you know what I mean? Oh my goodness. And the Tron level too. Oh my gosh. What a cool game.
Oh yeah, brings it back.
And I really enjoyed the Pirates of the Caribbean level because you get to face you had to turn them into the moonlight to like make them turn into skeletons like in the movie, and then you could defeat them. Yeah. Because they were immortal out of the moonlight. It was awesome. What a cool game mechanic. Anyway, that's Kingdom Hearts 2. I think we can all agree that has some powerful moments in it. Roxas is such a cool character, and I mean, they just built on such a convoluted story, making it even more convoluted. I don't know if I'm defending or attacking now, so I'm going to pass it over to Tyler for his draft pick.
Oh boy, it's one of the best ones. I actually, to add on what you're saying real quick, I didn't actually play the first one. I played it for like maybe 5 minutes or so at Disney World and the Innovations place.
Oh, yeah.
They had some games in there back in the day. That was a long time ago. I played the second one, and I was like, this is a lot of fun, like I can dig this, I got on going with it. But for my first draft pick, I gotta choose my good old Sonic Adventure 2.
Strong choice.
It doesn't matter if people were playing it on, Dreamcast or GameCube or whatever else, it's out there on nowadays, back in the day. But it brought home something that was just so much fun. It was like one of the first games that I really, really got into in a way, and like they had such a fun system for the levels, and different upgrades you can find levels and come back later once you have those upgrades. It was just kind of, I don't know. It was just a little made you scratch your brain a little bit, a little fun. It's not like it was complex, but they also had a system that was my favorite with the chows. If you're not familiar with Sonic, there are these creatures called chows. You can raise them and stuff in the game. They're your little Pokemon / weird baby kind of things. They're fun. Just like a lot of fun. You have different versions of them, unlike different areas to have them, and it's just like it was just one of those games for me that I really, really enjoyed a lot. And I probably bought it on most systems if they made a remake at all, nowadays, remaster or some such.
To add on to what you're saying, a game's good if people are really striving to emulate it. You know what I mean? Like if they're going off and they're finding an emulator and a ROM for it, going out of their way to play it again. That's how you know that you made a peak game. People do that for Kingdom Hearts. People do that for Sonic. People do it for Mario, Pokemon, you name it. But if you've made a game that people want to go and emulate, then you've made it good.
Everybody's got everybody wants to roll around at the speed of town. You know what I'm saying?
Rolling around at the speed of sound.
Get places to go, gotta follow my rainbow. It was a great.
I don't know if that's going to sync up or not, but it doesn't matter.
No, I know the epic. No, but at least, if people haven't heard of that game, you can sing that song a lot of times. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, dude. That's a strong choice. Sonic Adventure 2, strong choice. We're off to a great start already with this draft battle. Already some difficult choices because you got to pick between two iconic nostalgic games, right?
Oh, yeah.
100%.
It had a lot of replayability. You had the way the game worked. You had your hero story and your dark story, and then once you completed both stories, then you unlocked the middle path,
which was so cool.
They work both together, and it's like you started to dislike either side where you start playing them over a while, and that other one just like brings them together, and it's like talk no jutsu you and I are kind of the same,
I love it when games have like alternate endings and paths that you have to do. I absolutely love that. For example, like not on the list, but just like an honorable mention, like The Force Unleashed, Star Wars: The Force Unleashed, the Sith and the Light ending. That was super cool to me. I mean, I like that they had that option. And then same thing for The Force Unleashed 2. Honorable mentions, those aren't on the list. But
yeah, for sure.
I love it when games do that. Absolutely love that. For next up for my draft, though, not an honorable mention, but is a Star Wars game. We're gonna go. I'm gonna draft the OG Star Wars Battlefront 2. If you have ever played this, you know what I'm talking about. That menu loading screen when you're getting into the game is enough to give you so much serotonin, right?
Oh man,
that first the fall of the Republic. It was so quiet. I remember how quiet. That intro narration and that first mission of attacking the Jedi Temple. Wow. And then the multiplayer. Wow. I'll still bust out the PlayStation 2 just to play that game, man. Like it literally is nostalgia overload. Now I love what they were doing with the new Battlefront 2. I love that the Ewok and all that stuff. I love all that, but you can't beat the OG Battlefront 2. You can't beat it. It's so iconic. And like going to Kashyyyk and playing as the droids against the Wookiee army, all that is so iconic, man. You can't nobody can argue.
Conquest.
Nobody can argue. That is a great game. Like when you say Star Wars game, like for your childhood, that is the game you think of, right? There are some other games for sure, but that is the game you think of. Oh my gosh. What an incredible game. And I mean, I just remember hours playing with my cousins because this was before I had a PlayStation. I would always go to my cousin's house and we'd either play that or Grand Theft Auto because that was also another game I wasn't allowed to play when I was a kid. And we would play Star Wars Battlefront like all the way until they'd call us in for dinner, and we'd be like, okay, we're in the middle of a Galactic Conquest, we can't. They're like, okay, shut up and Galactic Conquest your way to the kitchen, come eat your dinner. Oh goodness, what a good time. Anything to add about Star Wars?
I just remember that the Emperor's force power
Oh my goodness!
The hero battles on Most Ideality could make or break friendships. Like, you piece of crap! They're always using that, just like power.
Unlimited power.
If you didn't teach them about blocking and they weren't familiar, you just could have a real ball. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, 110%.
That I just remember that.
So it reminds me of when my cousins got the first like Xbox steering wheel, like the foot pedal steering wheel kind of combo. We were playing some kind of racing game, and my sister, my parents told me my sister had to play with us. So we put the gear shift into reverse, and she said, "Doesn't it need to be D for drive?" And I said, "No, this is a secret Xbox exclusive mode. R means raging forward." So
raging forward.
And my sister to this day is mad about that. So,
raging forward.
Like some of the best memories come from my cousin's house playing PlayStation and Xbox and stuff like that, and Battlefront and things like that. Just fondest memories ever. Fondest memories. And then, oh my goodness. What about your draft pick number 2, Tyler?
This one is a little bit, it's a single player game. A little bit more lonely, I suppose, than the good old honorable Battlefront 2, the OG original. But so this game is near and dear to my heart. It's Elder Scrolls Oblivion. I don't know. In my opinion, it was my favorite out of all the Elder Scrolls games. It brought something that I had never seen to gaming before. When it came out, I played it like 2 or 3 years after it came out, and I just gotten, Xbox 360 around the time, I think. I'm not sure about the timeline of everything, but I just remember playing the game, and I remember being in 6th grade playing that game, and just remembering, every day, it's not like school was very particularly hard for me, honestly. I could just go to my classes and kind of just get through them and be fine, good student. But I always played games a lot, and that game, it always had me thinking about it back in the day. I got to the point where my buddy, who let me borrow the game originally, he also had it's like a thick book, game book,
Oh, a game guide?
The game guide?
Oh my gosh. Word.
And I used
what a
that
throwback.
Thing every night. It got to where the spine wore out, and I had to start taping the spine with Scotch tape. And I just remember, though, at the end of the year, bring it back to him. I just hand it back to him, and it's falling apart. And he's like, "You know what? You can keep it. That's fine. I don't need this anymore."
That's a strategy, Tyler. It's a strategy to get free stuff from people. Just break it.
I just remember reading at night when I was supposed to go to bed, have a little flashlight, reading every line, every guild. You had your Mages Guild, the Dark Brotherhood, Thieves Guild, the Fighters Guild. Every single one had, I don't know, an insane amount of story to them. The Mages Guild, you went from being nothing all the way to be an Archmage, but it wasn't I'm not dissing Skyrim, but Skyrim's, you can probably get done with their quest line 7 hours or something,
Yeah.
That's just not the way this game works, you could do this, any kind of quest, add 30 hours at least or something to any of the quest lines, not quests. I don't know, just having so much fun in that game and breaking it. The glitches, oh boy, the glitches. I loved it, We all
had those games that we'd come home from school and just be ready to turn on your Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, whatever, and be I have to play this for hours, but you're I have homework, but then you're okay, never mind, I'm going to play this instead of doing the homework,
But then it's I remember I wasn't supposed to play games back then on weekdays, and I remember I had a DVD player it was a portable DVD player, but I also have a large sound system in my room that I cobbled together for old speakers that I found in the garage, basically.
Yep.
And I would plug that into my DVD player, so I would blare Batman or Tom and Jerry or something.
As camouflage.
Yeah. So Tom and Jerry, Fast and Furious, or Fast and Furious. Too Fast, Too Furious, or something like that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I just would always have that on in the background while I'm playing it. So to this day, I remember doing Mehrunes Dagon's quest for the DLC for the game, and just I'm hearing the two announcers, and that's "Are you okay, Biff?" "Sure I am, Jeff."
Dude, that's the ultimate. Your stealth is 100, dude.
No, I'm sure my parents knew. They just were just you know what? he can have this. There's some level. Parents always know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I just always have fond memories of playing that game. Anywhere from all the grandparents' houses to all the TVs. It got some mileage.
I love how we didn't know each other as children, but we did the same thing. You had your camouflage, and for me it was I was listening to Schoolhouse Rock. Do you remember Schoolhouse Rock? Interplanet Janet, she's a galaxy girl.
Yeah, I just remember it very fondly. It's a fun time.
Oh me. Speaking of fond times, let's talk about some more. My third draft pick, I choose Pokemon Emerald. And I had a lot of Pokemon games to choose from, but Pokemon Emerald is, for me, the quintessential Generation 3 game. And Generation 3 is probably, arguably one of the most strongly nostalgic generations for Pokemon fans. It was the Pokemon, Poke Fever just started happening, right? Generation 1 and 2 kind of happened, and people were excited about it. But then when the Game Boy Advance came out, and then the Game Boy Advance SP came out, Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, Fire Red, Leaf Green were the quintessential games. People were playing them constantly. I remember when Fire Red, Leaf Green came out and the wireless adapter was introduced, and we didn't have to have the link cable anymore. You just brought your wireless adapter.
Oh boy!
I remember getting Pokemon Emerald and getting the little the collector's bundle, and it came with a Game Boy SP case. I actually still have it. It's over there on my shelf. It had Rayquaza on it, and you put your Game Boy in it. You can put a couple games at the top. I put my wireless adapter up there. It was just such a cool little feature. I was able to, you were put it on your belt loop, and you could take your Game Boy with you. It was awesome. So it was the coolest thing.
Oh man.
And I speaking of hiding games though, because we all talked about hiding games from our parents and whatnot. My mom would always say, get to a safe spot. We talked about this previously on another episode of the podcast, but I could just turn the SP, turn off the brightness of the thing, turn off the screen, and then close the thing and turn down the volume. It was not off. It was still going, but my mom would think it was off because she didn't see the little green light on the side saying that it's on. And I would hide that, and I would just turn it back on whenever it's time for bed, and I would be playing it. Oh man, I just wouldn't play with sound. Or they got me these little earbuds that would put into the charging port, and you could you couldn't charge and listen at the same time. But so I had to make sure it was full battery. And I put the earbuds in the charging spot because they didn't have a USB. It was a little brick thing. It was weird. It was like a lightning before a lightning thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about? That little charging port.
Yeah.
And then I would put in the earbuds, and I would play, and I would always keep it super low or one earbud out so I could make sure my mom wasn't coming down the hallway. Pokemon Emerald, though, quintessential Pokemon game. It's probably the first time that people got really, really excited for a third, the director's cut game. We had Crystal, we had Yellow, but people loved Rayquaza. Groudon, Kyogre with Team Magma, Team Aqua were awesome, but then Rayquaza having its own cutscene and the Battle Frontier, and there's so many things that I could just describe making this game probably the best, most nostalgic Pokemon game. You always see people nuzlocking it. You see people doing ROM hacks of it all the time. People playing it. People downloading and emulating. We talked about that too. You made it if your game is an emulator. And people find Pokemon Emerald and play Pokemon Emerald. Right? It is the best Game Boy game of all time. Game Boy Advance game. It's insane. There are some really good games out there, but Pokemon Emerald is one of the ones that people always download if they're finding an emulator in a ROM. You know what I'm talking about?
What's the staple?
It's a staple.
I would agree with you. I too enjoyed Ruby and Sapphire a lot, but there's something about Emerald that was pretty great to me. Obviously, you had a mixture of kind of both Pokemon and stuff in a way, and you also had Rayquaza. Rayquaza was awesome. Yeah. I remember the same time we had those Game Shark cards.
Oh my god, I still have one.
Yeah, you just plug it in, and it was kind of like a waiting game in a way because you would get so many eggs, right, of your chosen Pokemon, but it was kind of sad because some of them ended up glitched. It just stay an egg forever. You know what I'm saying?
A bad egg?
I don't know. It was just kind of funny because, I don't know, we tried to game the system and, it almost didn't work. I
agree.
That game was awesome.
It was kind of insane, the amount of, people that came together to find out new glitches, new tricks, and things like that. PokeFever was a crazy time to be alive.
I liked the hideouts and everything.
Oh yeah, inside the volcano and everything. So cool.
So cool.
So cool. But anyway, on to your number 3 pick.
Well, that would definitely be for me. As a kid, I remember wanting a gaming PC or PC to game on, and my dad got me this Dell PC, and it had like some specs on it, I guess, for the time, you know, and it at least had a graphics card to play stuff on. And I ended up playing Star Wars Jedi Knight Academy. One of my favorite games of all time, and it is one of those moddable games. Like, I can't even describe to you my love for this game personally. And I don't know if the servers are still up. They might have the multiplayer server still up. It's worth checking out. I mean, honestly, it was one of the first types of games, like with Star Wars, where you built your own character, you built your own lightsaber, you know, you learned your styles, you worked your way up from Padawan, you know, all the way up to, you know, I guess Master in a way. You picked your force powers after each mission, or before each mission, rather. It was a first-person shooter and a lightsaber game. So you would go out of first-person shooting with your freaking awesome Star Wars guns, like your classic blaster rifle. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
It was E11? I can't even remember now. It's been too long. But you know what I mean? I remember that just so well, and being able to have 2 lightsabers, or, you know, a dual lightsaber, or just any combination thereof, it was just awesome. And the best part about it, on paper, you could just swing your sword. But really, once you start going, you know, creating your own multiplayer matches with like a bunch of NPCs, you can start to see like, all right, so you get locked with people, and you have to use different, you know, combos like shift plus spacebar control, so it makes you like move forward slowly, crouch down, and then like jump up to do like, you know, the slash that Maul's killed by? Exactly that slash.
Oh my.
So like you kind of go like jump over them and slash them, and it's like whenever I first was able to lock that combo down, I was like, I've made it, because he was just like slashing. But this was one of the best games ever.
I think that game walked so other Star Wars games could run, you know?
Yeah, I mean, really, just incredible, because, you know, it feels like Fallen Order takes inspiration from that kind of idea.
Oh, yeah, and then for sure with Survivor, with changing stances.
It's definitely on my top 5, like, period, like, Desert Island games. If you were able to have that on Desert Island, I don't know, just to have it and hold.
What a strong choice, though. I anything Star Wars. That's why there's. I mean, for both of us, you have you have Battlefront, and then you have Jedi Knight Academy. They're 2 sides of the same coin, though, because I mean, both were incredible steps forward for Star Wars fans. Because I remember being a Star Wars fan back then, before they were making active new being a Star Wars fan nowadays is kind of common, you know. But back then, you were kind of like, it was kind of like an oddity, a rare thing. People didn't know what it was, but when the prequels started coming out, people were like, okay, I see what's going on. You know, they weren't so thrilled with it, but now people are loving the prequels. We could talk about that in our own podcast episode too. But it was kind of interesting time, because I remember loving Star Wars, and people are like, "Oh, what is Battlefront?" I'm like, "It's Star Wars." They're like, "What's Star Wars?" And I'm like, "What do you mean, what's Star Wars?" Nowadays, you say what's Star Wars, and people look at you like you're crazy. You know, everyone knows what Star Wars is nowadays.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But moving on from there, my number 4 draft pick is probably one of the most quintessential horror games of all time, in my opinion, Five Nights at Freddy's. We're talking about the OG number 1, baby. When it comes to Five Nights at Freddy's, here recently, you know, with Scott taking on other, you know, companies to help him and stuff like that, the story's kind of become convoluted. I think we can all agree it's about as convoluted as Kingdom Hearts now. But I will say, the first couple Five Nights at Freddy's had an amazing plot line. There's a lot of lore. There's a lot of craziness happening. You know, the suspense of being held at, am I going to get a jump scare? And the sheer amount of skill to be able to get through 2020 mode, or 2020 mode. Sorry, 420s.
Yeah.
You know, it was just, what a fun thing. There were so many really cool hidden things in there. What a hidden gem. And, since then we've had several good games, and like I said, much enjoyment out of it. I think that Five Nights at Freddy's 1 really set a precedent for what horror games can be, and just keeping somebody in suspense for a long period of time and requiring a certain amount of skill and gameplay, familiarity to be able to complete the really hard modes. It's kind of fun in a way. What do you think?
I know I said I love horror games, but I have never played this one actually, and
You should.
I don't know much about it at all.
It's really fun, and it's relatively cheap, like not really like expensive game. I plan on getting the VR one because it has all the games up to like number 4, I think, and you can play it in VR. Now that I actually have a VR set, which is cool.
I mean, I've seen like streamers like Iron Mouse and Giga and a lot of VTubers try stream it. So that's really the extent of my knowledge, just watching them. But a lot of times when I have other streamers on or something else, I'll be having music on too, so I'm not really paying attention to the plot, but it always seemed like a eerie kind of fun game. So
there's a lot of like really cool like attention to detail parts in there. Like for example, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 and 3 have like snippets of story that tell how everything like went down, and then there's like references from the phone guy, and there's references around the cameras and how the animatronics behave. There's a lot to it. It's really, really fun, and but I think the OG really set the tone for it. I prefer the OG to any of the others. I think it's probably my favorite. That's why it's on this list. And I think even just that game by itself, if no other game existed, no other Five Nights at Freddy's game, this would still be a good lore-filled adventure that's scary and requires a good bit of skill from the player, which is fun. So that's why I chose it as my number 4. What about your number 4, Tyler?
My number 4, it might seem a little bit basic to some. Some might not really be as familiar with the series as I might be with Halo, but mine is Gears 5. So it was hard to pick one, really. I've liked all of the Gears series pretty equally. But this one kind of had everything all of the other ones had in it for me. Maybe some of the level designs were a little bit less, as good. But the Horde mode is where it shines. I just love the idea of these games. They're very gory, very violent type games, but it's hard for me to explain. It's like a good kind of cheese in a way. I don't know. Just these chunky characters that are running around and these big old, like the proportions are just different. I don't know. Like, think if like everyone was the Hulk size or something like that, with the beefiness, but I don't know, this game is just so much fun. Holding out against, waves and waves of enemies is kind of my favorite.
Yeah.
It's just kind of campy in a way where it's just, I like the cheese of the violence of the game, I guess. But it's just, I don't know.
Sometimes you need that release, that sweet release of just like violence, chaos, you know what I mean?
And it's pretty goofy, like some of the characters a lot of times. Like they have a really good list of characters and everything else like that.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah, I don't really have as much to say about that one.
It's still a good game though, and I think it speaks for itself. Like if you play Gears and you know what he's talking about, you can agree it's very cathartic at times to just be have the chaos of those games, the waves and waves of enemies and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm not much of a Gears player, but I've seen like gameplay of it. So
and like it was one of those ones also where you could be playing on easy mode and me just walking through it, but like I usually play on inconceivable mode.
Inconceivable. What a name for a mode.
Inconceivable. Exactly. You'll be saying that every time you die, pretty much. It's like, how did, it's like that meme. It's like, what? Where did everything? Am I supposed to go this way? Like, I don't know. It's a fun game. I would recommend for sure.
Absolutely. And speaking of really fun games, we have my number 5 pick. So just so you guys know, a little recap of my picks, and then I'll ask Tyler to recap before he gives his number 5. My recap, number 1 was Kingdom Hearts 2. Number 2 was the OG Star Wars Battlefront 2. Number 3 was Pokemon Emerald. And number 4 was Five Nights at Freddy's, the OG first one. Number 5 for me is a game that has really shaped my life, really, because, I changed my whole name to kind of model around this. It used to be known as Ashwa TV, and we've talked about that plenty on the channel. But now the name Fusro Dab comes from a play on words, Fusro Da. We've had Oblivion on the list, but now Elder Scrolls V Skyrim is my number 5 pick. Skyrim is such a quintessential game. It's been released on pretty much every console ever imagined since it came out. I can't words. It's had anniversary editions, special editions, whatever you name it. Modding community is incredible. The game is a beloved treasure. Hilarious to mod, hilarious to mess around with. I love watching like Doug, for example. If I say the word bear, then it spawns 10 bears into Skyrim, or or if can I break the game to where I can't complete the starting of it or whatever, and he tries to like delete NPCs to make the game crash. The game is chaotic. You can enjoy it just by playing it straight through. You can play role playing. You can just make up something and have a background to stick straight to it, or you can just be as chaotic as possible and try to break the game, which it's hilarious to try to do. Same thing with Oblivion. There glitches galore, right? But it's such a iconic game. Elder Scrolls 5 is what we've been rocking with for how many years now? I don't even know. We're not going to see Elder Scrolls 6 for a while, and for a long while. When did they announce that, by the way? Like, how many years ago was that? Was it like 8 years ago?
We're supposed to be getting another trailer this December, supposedly. Okay. I'm not holding my breath. But yeah, it's like, okay.
What, they're going to show the title card or something, and then that's the trailer? Yeah, no, I'm not holding my breath. But Skyrim is quintessential. I come back to it. I can't wait. I hope they do an Oblivion remake while we're waiting for Elder Scrolls 6.
Oh, yeah.
But Skyrim is just the game that I come back to and I love. And I've done so many hours into it. It's ridiculous. But what about that recap of your picks and then your number 5 pick, Tyler?
I tried to pick my list pretty well. I don't know. I gave it some thought. Games evoked that emotion with me. Like, I remember when that occurred. I was doing this, or like some games like that. So starting off at number 1, I chose Sonic Adventure 2, and then we had Oblivion as number 2. Then Star Wars Jedi Academy is number 3, and then Gears 5 for number 4. I know that those were a little bit confusing with all the numbers, but I really enjoyed all of these. But my final one kind of brings all of what I like out of a lot of games into one, and that's Valheim. I really have enjoyed everything about Valheim. I will say I do play the game with the first-person mod, where I can zoom in or zoom out whenever I need to, but it really adds another dimension to the game. It's like, a survival version of Skyrim in a way, but a little bit less, polished looking, but it has this unique vibe. It was a very rewarding game, and to me, where it was a builder and a survival game, but you actually had to put some thought into your builds. You couldn't just throw 2 sticks up and then something above it, and it's like, that'll stay. Yeah, it'll stay for 5 seconds, and then you'll get mad and curse into the wind that you couldn't properly keep your roof up. You have to do support. It's just a lot of
It ain't Minecraft.
No, it's not. But it's also, I don't know, to me, it was one of my favorite survival games ever. And, like, to this day, also, again, I keep saying that, I would just drop most of the games I'm playing regardless of when I ask me to play it. It's just that powerful to me. I love it that much, honestly.
You've had some gaming moments in there, like some true gamer moments, like, oh my god, what do you mean? And oh my gosh, again,
Yeah, I just remember playing with buddies, like a group of 8 people. We built an island together, and we had all would on game night we would all have a couple drinks, and everyone relax. It was on a Saturday night of the week. Yep. Everyone would talk about the week and play the game. And at some point, someone would, inevitably suggest, all right, we're going sailing, and it's like, this is not great right now. We have to go. All right, we had to have our boxes. We put everything in before we went sailing, because it's like, all right, if we lose our stuff out in the water, I mean, we're not going to be able to go back out there and get it. Like, there's actual sea monsters, so we cannot do this.
I think that's a very strong choice. What a great way to round out your list. It definitely does describe your personality, though, because we definitely did love Minecraft together, but Valheim is like an adult Minecraft. You know what I mean? It's like like a way more intrinsic building system, but also there's it's a live world, which is really, really cool.
Definitely one of my favorite games of all time.
Absolutely. We're curious to hear you guys' opinions, though. So my list is Kingdom Hearts 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2, the original, Pokemon Emerald, Five Nights at Freddy's, and of course Skyrim. And Tyler's list: Sonic Adventure 2, Oblivion, Star Wars Jedi Knight Academy, Gears of War 5, and Valheim. Let me know. Red Pill, Blue Pill. That's kind of hard to say. Red Pill, Blue Pill. Good Lord. I don't know if it's just me struggling with that, or if it's the fact that I'm on camera or on microphone. But anyway, Red Pill, Blue Pill. Let us know. We're gonna have a community poll, and you guys pick which games that you like and let us know. We're curious to see your responses. And then what game would you add to our list? Like, if you had to pick one, what game would you add? Like, what if you had one choice, number 6? What would it be? I'm so excited to see what you guys have to say.
Oh yeah.
You guys can find me at FusRadab on YouTube. That's FusRodab with spaces in between. You can also find me on Instagram, Twitter /X, whatever they're calling it, and what is it called? TikTok. That's the word, at the FusRadab. That's TheFusRodab, all one word. We got great content, guys, and be sure to listen to the other episodes of the podcast, and leave us a rating on Spotify. Things like that helps us out a lot, so appreciate it. Anything you want to say to the people before we go?
Make sure to go touch some grass, people.
Go touch grass.
It's always good.
Always good for you. Always good.
And
for
drink
you.
your water. Stay hydrated.
I got water right here in my glass. A glass of water.
There you go.
All the ice is melted because of the soft boxes. Gotta have good lighting for you. Gotta have good lighting so you can see my face.
I'm feeling the heat too.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening. This has been Sunyshore Station. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Sunyshore Station.